if you're relevant, you struggle less for research. So, self-examination. What are we doing that matters? What are we doing that makes a difference in lives and communities? What are we doing that others aren't doing, or what are we doing that's really needed to be done? So if you get that part of it, you get the relevancy, the mission relevancy part of it, the way becomes easier.
This is great. I've finally gotten Steve
Glaude.
Glaude with me on this AI for Impact podcast, where what I've learned is that I've been talking to nonprofit leaders for the last month, of 30 of them, and gaining insights to really shorten my learning curve in the nonprofit world. And Steve was, I think, within the first three people I talked to. And it was just an incredible conversation. And we want to go through like his long career in a nonprofit, and also like understand, like, I would like to say you're the hero of this conversation, and a lot of the things that you've done, with CNHED and in DC and working with housing. So tell me a little bit about your journey through this process and some of the stuff you've learned along the way.
I think in college, I realized I wanted to work in the helping fields, which isn't exclusive to nonprofits, but it's certainly nonprofit centric. So early in life, I had a career, concern about kids, about safety, about community, about opportunity. And early in my career, that led me to actually start working with in childcare. My first job out of college was working at Capitalese Children's Center. I taught 4-year-olds, did that for a
Wow.
couple of years, and then later I worked with people with disabilities, and I don't think that in either of those positions did I envision myself as a leader. I was a worker. I was a service provider. But it was the third nonprofit I was associated with, the National Association of Neighborhoods, which led me to my first leadership opportunity because I joined that organization and went through the end of the Carter administration, and with the advent of the Reagan administration, a lot of the senior staff in the organization left. They lost all of their federal funding, and the organization became near bankrupt, but certainly broke. And as a result, the opportunity to lead presented itself. And so I became the CEO of that organization at the age of 25. And I frankly have kind of been leading ever since. I've been provided amazing opportunities to lead. I've been really privileged in the kind of um, opportunities that I've had to work in the sector, but also to lead in the sector.
Yeah, I remember listening on the phone, and when you said, I've been doing this, and when Reagan was president, it really broadened my perspective on and what I've learned now the last 3 weeks, and is that like people in the nonprofit industry, a lot of them, they're in it for so long because there's something that I'm learning too that is important about the work that we do, and alongside of executive directors, other CEOs I've talked to, founders, there's this part where everybody wants to be a steward of goodwill.
Mhm.
And in the corporate world, you don't always get to like live by your faith and your beliefs and your passions to help people and really drive things. And in the nonprofit, you have that opportunity in that industry. And you've had, what was it, 13 different agencies, and you've done different things where outreach and helping folks with their housing and other needs that they've done, but you've built enormous, companies in DC, and you've been CEO and executive director for multiple companies, right?
I've been CEO of 6 nonprofits, 3 like national, 3 local nonprofits, and I've really worked in almost all the helping fields: gender equity, children's services, developmental disabilities, adult literacy, homelessness prevention, affordable housing, substance abuse, business development, community economic development. I've kind of touched them. I've touched them all, or they've touched me in some way at some point in my career. And that's why I say I've been really fortunate and blessed and privileged to have had the opportunity to serve through the lens of so many interventions and organizations in my career. It's been a really blessed career. Some people would have been happy to have one or two of those
Right,
to community,
right.
and I've had
You
like
told me
8 to 12 of them. So it's
you told me on the phone, you're like, "I've got the CEO thing figured out. I've got that. I can do that."
well,
And,
at my age, I
like
better have it figured out because I've been doing it a long time.
yeah. The, like, what's a particular moment from your journey that stayed with you?
I think there are lots of moments, and I would say that moments that test us are always memorable, and moments where we overcome are always memorable. And this is going to sound like really, really, really small compared to some of the larger things um, I've I've been associated with success wise. But getting the telephone company to give me a $7,000 grant to pay their phone bill that I owed them is still to me one of the cherished moments of my career. It was out of pure despair. I needed the phones on to promote an event that
Yeah.
was going to raise money to solve a problem. Without those phones, I couldn't have recruited people,
And
opened
this
the
is
phone
we're talking
company.
phones that were cords into the wall, right?
This is pre-cell phone days. These were landlines. They were the only way to make this event a success. And the day after we mailed the invitations, we got a notice that the phones were going to be cut off that Friday. We got the notice on a Wednesday. They were going to be cut off Friday. I got a meeting with the telephone company on Thursday and convinced them to not cut off the phones and to give me a $7,000 grant to pay their phone bill. I still consider, I mean, I've raised hundreds of millions of dollars. I've
Right.
impacted policies and programs in major ways, but that little low hanging fruit, uh, I was 25 years old. And so it was a prism into possibility that,
Yes.
that, 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 that I could succeed, that I could persuade, that I could be convincing, that I could align people with my passion about what I was doing, and I think it had a multiplying effect on my resolve to succeed in the work.
That's interesting, the way to look at it, like, in a prism into the fact that, like, even as 25-year-old that you can persuade people and you can make, the sale and you can get things done. And, whether God provides or this had this door closed, this one opened, so many stories, that I keep
Well,
hearing it.
and I
That's
needed it to
interesting.
be a prison because the week after that, I had to convince somebody of something else as well.
Yeah, it brings that up. I don't know if it was I think it might have been you who really brought out to me to say that the nonprofit word is kind of a misnomer where it could be a mental barrier for people to like to not profit, to not grow and get big and be profitable. And that takes persuasion, that takes sales and marketing. You're still separating money from people. This is a very much better cause most of the time. And that was an interesting lesson that I learned speaking to somebody, and you're nodding your head in agreement. So how do you see that different in terms of like running a nonprofit versus a regular business?
So I would say that just because you have mission doesn't mean you don't have to have business model.
Can you say that one more time?
Just because you have mission doesn't mean you don't have to have business model. So all of us who run organizations, we have to have a business model. And that model has to include how we're going to provide raises to our employees if they stay with us year after year. How we're going to make benefits competitive for the employee. If we believe in a body of work, how are we going to convince funders to fund it for more than a year or two? Like that's all part of a business model. How do you align activity with income? And so How do you do things you don't have money to do for a period of time, but you do it in a way that's going to generate period money, so you're not doing it without money forever? That's all part of your business model.
See, that's incredible and insightful stuff where I don't think everyone knows that, and you eventually in the future, like to mentor people, to talk to them and really impart your wisdom to other rising stars or other companies that are large but want to go like really, huge. And it's important that, we understand that those processes and the operations have to be consistent. A leader from Hawaii had told me, like, whichever way the wind blows, it shouldn't matter for you if you have a business model that is self-sustainable, really, without extra grants from the county or the state or whoever's in the administration. Your company should be so solid and sustainable and viable that everything else is gravy. Like, you want a strong
Well,
business model. That's kind of what you're saying.
yeah, I am saying that, but I wanna walk it back just a little with one insight.
Okay, great.
The people that we are missioned to help can't afford our services. So our services have to be subsidized. So there's
Mhm.
always going to be a need for grants and contracts and things. The question is, how do you get both a balance as well as a continuum of investments coming in? Some investments going in, like no funder funds you forever. So how do you create a rhythm as some are dropping off, new ones are coming in, and so that it's
Right.
seamless? I often say that operating a nonprofit is kind of like jumping from ship to ship. If you jump too soon or too late, you're in the water. And so you have to get into this regime of jumping from thing to thing at the right time. And that should be fostered by innovating. The conditions we're trying to change to improve are constantly changing. And our interventions should be changing. And therein lies the business model. If you are
Right.
relevant, you don't struggle for resources.
Yeah, and you need to remain relevant.
And you need to
Whereas
remain relevant, and that can change. Like, I don't believe in chasing money. I even try to implore to people that organizations develop programs. Programs do not develop organizations. And some organizations are so program driven that it's hard to know what their identity is, what they're trying to solve for, what their core mission is, because they're chasing every opportunity that arises. You've got to have a center cut that is who you are, who you serve, and how you serve. And then you ought to have tentacles that represent your innovation and your responsiveness.
so it's living organism, right?
Hmm. It's a
That's what you're
living
talking
organism.
about.
And I say that we are very much amoeba-like. Like, we have to shape shift a lot to respond to changing conditions as well as
Mhm.
opportunities. We should
Right.
be amoeba-like, but not a jellyfish.
You can't be spineless,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
A conversation I had today brought up where as things change and as organizations grow, like you're saying, innovations and changes, and really identifying like what is the organization really good at for impact? How are they awesome at this type of impact instead of trying to do a whole bunch of different other things and spread out? Like, really focus on strategic impact that they know they're the best at and they can focus their efforts on. Do you see that in any of your organizations that you've had?
I do. I've run several associations, and the power of association, it always starts with convening and bringing people together. And if it's done properly, a whole bunch of good things happen as a result of that. You get a good sense of what community needs are because you've convened in a way that gets people to be honest and transparent. It starts with making people feel safe. And if you elicit that in your engagement with organizations or individuals or communities, you're going to get the best insights into what people are experiencing, what communities are facing. And that's where your innovation comes from. That's where your relevancy comes from. But it starts with convening. So, you know, every organization I've run has had some really high impact programs or interventions. Give you an example at Men Can Stop Rape, a national organization, gender equity organization I ran. We had to contract with the Department of Defense to develop the sexual assault prevention strategies for all 5 branches of the military. That's huge. And I feel really good
Sure.
about that. Today, I run a local business supplier program that has generated $950 million for district businesses from our area hospitals, universities, utility companies, our airport authority, and more. That's a huge impact. Um,
Mhm.
and so I always have programs, but I think the thing that matters the most is that the ability to convene people, to listen, to translate and interpret, and then to use that as your basis of your innovation and the basis of your relevancy. If you are doing that, you are almost always going to get it right.
Have you ever read a book where every sentence when you're finished reading it, you're like, "Yes." That's what this is like listening to you. It's like
I
every
appreciate
sentence
that.
you say is like, "Man, I'm glad I'm recording this," because your golden nuggets of wisdom, you're just dropping them left and right, and it takes a little bit to like you said, I think you early on a text, like, to unpack things, but the beginning of what you're saying is something also that has to do with mindset, and it has to do with you said that prism to like trust in yourself that you can bring these people together, get them aligned, and understand that, you know, money has to flow to
Mhm.
make this work. And, you know, you've done enormous, you know, you use hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars and you still want to give, you still want to help. What stops you from just hanging it up and getting a beach house and just be like, I'm done with it. I'm ready to relax. Like what keeps you going?
I think um, I'm very fortunate that my reward system is aligned with making things better for others. And I chose those words slowly and carefully because I am getting a lot out of this. And I don't want it to land as, oh, look at all the great sacrifices that Steve has done. He's run 6 organizations, he's spent 40 years. I get rewarded by doing this work. I really do. I mean,
Mhm.
I could debate on a couple of days every week whether I'm getting more out of it than I'm giving, or I'm getting more out of it than um than I'm putting into it, because it is really rewarding work. It is tiring sometimes, and it is frustrating sometimes, but it's never not rewarding, and it's never
Yeah.
not validating. And so it's it's where I belong. I still feel privileged to have given these opportunities, and to be able to do this work. I get to I get two really high end value propositions. Sometimes I get to see the faces of the people I help. And sometimes I impact things in a way where I've helped thousands of people who I'll never meet. But I know changing this law, changing this policy is going to ripple across the country or across the city. And sometimes I actually get to look in the eyes of the people whose homes we fixed up, or whose businesses we've helped grow, or who we've helped get jobs. And it kind of doesn't get any better than that on planet Earth. It
Yeah,
doesn't get
you
a whole lot better than that. So I feel very privileged to have been allowed to have been able to do this work for decades. But um, no, I don't believe in defeat. I've been fortunate to be mentored by people who taught me not to believe in defeat. And I think there's a certain stubbornness in me and leaders like me who, when things are really, 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 really tough, we just buckle up and go. We stay with it. We try to win wars of attrition, and the last shall be
yeah.
first if they last.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like you pointed out the ripple effect, and everyone in the nonprofit, like the leaders that I've talked to already, I can say that they they do it because that ripple effect. They know that, okay, this person that I'm helping right here, it might not, dramatically change their life, but they're going to work it with two or three other people. And then it just happens and it continues and it goes, and they share a story. They have a new job, they get a new house, or they get clothes, or they feel different. They get mentored by someone who was mentored out of it too. And these, the whole pay it forward and the ripple effect, the as it grows, and the nonprofit world will continue really strongly, what what's the biggest challenge that you see on the horizon, like to continue to grow our impacts and things like that?
I think that we're in a moment um, of uncertainty and threat. I think that we're going to have to. I think we're going to have to redefine our value proposition a little in the midst of all this stuff that's going on with the federal government and the polarization that the country's facing and the partisanship challenges that we have. But I say that, and then I'll almost retract it. The field is amazingly resilient, and I use this analogy. I use I liken our society to the human body. Government is the skeletal system. Um, Government is the skeletal structure. Corporate America is the muscular system, but nonprofits are the immune system and the antibodies. So we rush to the scene of injury and we prevent its further spread. We also keep the body from getting sick in the first place. And so I think we're in a moment where we need a little care ourselves, and but we're getting it. In this moment of disruption and uncertainty, corporate America, many in government, many in philanthropy are asking us, are we okay? And are caring for us in deeper and new ways. And we don't need but a little bit of nurturing to kind of stand up and run another 26-mile marathon. So I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to actually be better. But I already know we're more resolved, and I think we will also prove to be more resilient.
That's a great answer, with the immune system. And you're right, because a lot of times the immune system builds itself up and it can sustain itself for quite a while until it encounters another antigen. And then it has to identify that antigen, figure out a new way, what antibodies, what cells to kick out to go through it, right? Innovate, do something different, like you're saying, make something relevant happen. And then that's the new level of immune system. It's higher, it's different, it's better, it's stronger. And it was different from 2 or 3 years ago. And that's a really good analogy for that. Um,
We
in
we are,
you
by
and
the
I had
way, we are, by the way, doing just what you described.
yeah,
We're
we're in the middle of
identifying
that transition.
this new foreign substance that has entered the body. We ain't figured out what to do with it yet, but we're definitely labeling it as something that needs to be followed and investigated.
Yeah, that's really it's a biological law, right? Antigen antibody
That's exactly
response, and
right. Yeah.
that's what we're
Yeah.
doing. The you have so much wisdom and you have this tenacity to help people. And I know you had mentioned to me like that you had this idea in your head to mentor other leaders. And what is that, how is that like taking shape in your mind or in your personal life? Because I wanted to unpack this because I told you it's very intriguing for me that you are incredibly successful and you're on that precipice of like, I want to give, like I need to teach the next generation or mentor the next generation to follow my footsteps. Like we need that to happen. So where are you with that?
So I'm in an insane season of service right now. I mentor. I do executive coaching. I think right now I'm on 13 nonprofit boards, and my involvement in many of those boards is I'm on national boards. I chair our National Trade Association. I'm on national boards. I'm on local boards. I do some executive coaching. I do some informal mentoring. I'm in this insane space where I become a magnet in the city because I've been in the job 11 years. So, people know I'm here and I'm visible and
Certainly.
I'm accessible. I respond to all my emails. I return all my phone calls. But I'm in this insane moment where I can meet with someone and 10 minutes into the conversation, they're asking me to be on their board. So I got to change I got to change my persona because I can't go from 13 to 26. That's just not humanly possible. But I do take that seriously. And one of the reasons is because I had mentors young in my leadership career. So when I was at the National Association of Neighborhoods as a 25-year-old CEO, I had a civil rights leader, left wing liberal mentor, and I had a former Republican White House conservative corporate leader mentor, and I gleaned stuff from both of them. Um, they wouldn't have enjoyed being in the room with each other, but I enjoyed being in the room with both of them. And they both gave me very different perspectives. So my way was made easier by older, more established people helping me. You know, how do I not do it? I mean, how do I not, given that I benefited from it? And it is the right thing to do. If you've had the privilege of leading and you see others stepping into that space and making that sacrifice and facing those obstacles and those challenges, and you can ease their way, of course you do it. I don't even think it's a decision. I don't think it's a reasonable choice. You just do it.
Yeah, that's incredible that you have such fantastic time management to be able to
Hmm.
deftly handle all of those boards and the
My board
conversation.
my board cannot see this interview. I don't
Good luck.
I don't think they kn I don't think they know I'm on 13.
Yeah,
They
you
know
do
I'm on a
now.
couple, I dangle a little something out there every now and no, I just
You
I think I am in a season of service, I take that seriously, and I think many people are in seasons of service, and many people I mean, all of these nonprofits are supported by volunteer boards, who bring their wisdom, who bring their strengths, and, I mean, a couple years ago, I was on a few boards, but I must be in my season of service because I'm on like 13 right now, and almost a week doesn't go by where someone doesn't ask me to do it. I'm probably at my threshold. I'm either need to get off. I just got off of one. I'm really proud of myself. But I got back on. I got on three and got off one. It's not the right ratio. So
how
we'll see. We'll see where it all takes me.
so you don't say no very often, no, or do you? With someone wants your help, right?
I never say no. What I will
Amazing.
do though is I have a concept I call ping pong. The game of ping pong is to always have the ball on the other side of the net. If it's on the other side of the net, there's a chance that you won't be the one who makes the mistake. And so, if someone asks me for my help, I never say no, but I ask them for a couple things. And if they give me those things, I evaluate them, I give them feedback, and then I ask them for another couple things. And as long as they keep the ball on my side of the net, I will keep going with the coaching and the mentoring. But it is a model of efficiency because if they're not serious or they're not clear, then I won't get what I asked for. I won't waste a lot of time. I have
The
to
ball
get
won't come back
I
to
have
you.
to get it right in what I asked them for. Um, and so forth. So, um, yeah, it's no, I don't say no. I've been given too much opportunity myself to deny anybody anything they want.
Yeah, heard lots of stories of people reaching out, talking to each other, meeting in these coincidental, convening in a meeting or something like that, or at a ball game, and all of a sudden they know somebody that has another nonprofit and they want to do a fundraiser, and this works, and of course you say yes, and then it turns in they meet like a celebrity, and that celebrity knows somebody. In the nonprofit world, like you say, the immune system is talking to itself, and it's growing. It's fantastic. So what if we can like dial this into to particular advice you would share with other nonprofit leaders who are working with limited resources, not $950 million budgets, that their things are tight and they're struggling to find the right grant or to get it done or to meet the right people. Like I know you've encountered that. You had to.
Yes, I have. I think it starts with clarity around mission and service. And that platforms itself in the organization's relevance. I would say this 50 times in an hour interview. If you're relevant, you struggle less for resources. So, self-examination. What are we doing that matters? What are we doing that makes a difference in lives and communities? What are we doing that others aren't doing, or what are we doing that's really needed to be done? So if you get that part of it, you get the relevancy, the mission relevancy part of it, the way becomes easier. The second part of it is, um, I'm kind of a one-trick dog. Like my superpower is energy and enthusiasm, and the giving community, they have their own resolve and their own motivation around issues, but they also need to be reminded through our energy and enthusiasm, that their work matters, that their giving matters. I mean, think about it. I'm a funder. Every day I write checks to solve the problems of the world. Every day, the 6 o'clock news
Uh-huh.
reminds me that the problems I wrote to solve are still here. What we do, what we have to do as those seeking resources is to enthusiastically remind them that even though the problems are still here, they'd be worse if you weren't writing those checks.
Yeah.
And I always say that money follows will, but will follows faith. So we have to show up believing that our work makes a difference. And that what we're proposing to do new and different or old and the same is going to have impact, is going to matter. And if they see that faith in us, they will have it in themselves, and it will strengthen their resolve to give. Look, it's a form of validation. And if you validate people, they'll give you anything you want. And I mean that within reason. But our job is to inspire, those who influence to do the things that we believe will make the biggest difference in the community. That's our gig. That's our job.
That's amazing. That's really insightful, good information, and I love the way that you're so well spoken and you can tell you're thinking about what you want to say so that it's understandable, people can digest it.
Mhm.
It's not too tech, it's not too much. And, to say I say that within reason so that someone's not taking it out of context. Uh, there was another executive director today. She was talking about where the news is like the emergency room of the world, and it's gonna be on, like it's gonna be happening, it's gonna be happening. But also, it's different when we put our phones down. We go walk outside and then meet people and see the other humans that different colors, different situations, different jobs, different upbringing, stuff like that. But then to realize that, oh, they're human too, you know? And not to listen what the narratives and all the things that are happening and the changes around the world, but to go and physically, shake hands, see people, spend time with them face to face. And that's an important piece I feel like with the nonprofit world is where they do step out and physically put their arms around somebody and let them know they're here and we can help you. That's what we do. Our relevance is helping you. Our impact is X, Y, and Z. These are the day. This is what we do. This is how many beds we took care of. This is how many houses we put together. This is how many families we saved. That's the important piece of it. And you're right. As population increases as well, the news is always going to remind you that yes, you're writing the checks, everything's helping, but it's not gonna go away. But it would be way worse if we were not doing what we do on a daily basis and drove the missions that we all have,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, I think we make the false assumption that philanthropy is this insulated ecosystem that doesn't feel frustration, or futility, and it's just not true. They need to be made buoyant as well, because the 6 o'clock news does remind them every day that everything they've invested in solving is still hovering around in some form or fashion. And so we have to become the system of faith that shows up. They're looking to see, if I were a philanthropist looking at the news on TV, when I go in the morning to work and I meet with my first grantee or first contact meeting, first thing I'm looking at is, do they have a bounce in their step? Like, are they excited about what they're doing? Do they believe this is
Yes.
going to work? And so our job is to carry that enthusiasm and that faith and that resiliency. Um, you know, there's a great analogy that one of my former boss used. It'll get lost a little bit somewhere, but years ago, there was a Super Bowl that Joe Montana won for the San Francisco 49ers. And he got the ball on his own 7-yard line with like a minute and 13 seconds. And he had to go 97 yards. And he didn't go into the huddle and go, boy, that's a long way down the field. Wow, a minute 13. That's not a lot of time. He went into the huddle and he
Right.
said, we're going to win this thing. And
There we go.
that's how we have to show up every day. We have to make our political leaders believe. We have to make our investors and funders believe. Sometimes we got to make our communities believe. And it starts with believing ourselves. So we are the custodians of the culture of faith in this work. And if we do that custodial job well, we give ourselves and others the best chances of succeeding.
That's beautiful. That's yeah. I'm so glad that you replied back to my email and we met.
Well, it's good talking to you. I'm glad you're doing this
Yeah.
body of work.
Yeah, I am too. And I think that when we continue with recording these podcasts and finding out, like when I can look at the transcript and see like all the mind blowing stuff that you've said that I give to you, and you just make the book, the
Uh,
Glaude way,
the the
whatever
book
you want
the
to
book
call
is,
it.
God willing, the book is gonna come. I've got 5 books inside
Oh,
me. I just got no time to get them
oh
out of me.
yeah. Man, it's such a good topic and good things to talk to. I really appreciate that. That was good. That's fantastic. And I think that anybody who wants to be mentored by you is gonna say yes. Okay, now I gotta play ping pong with Steve. Got it.
The ping
Like
pong
otherwise he's not
the
gonna.
ping pong is a self-preservation tactic.
Yeah, you keep giving it to them, and if they don't give it back, then that's you're like, okay,
Mhm.
right? Effort and outcome, that kind of stuff. No, you did a fantastic job.
Well,
You did really
I
well.
know you're gonna have to do some edits and cleanups. My head wanders, my
Oh
eyes
yeah.
wandered. You'll have fun with that. If you need to circle back, view me as a resource. Um, please stay in touch. And if I can be helpful to you in any way, let me know.
Oh man, I'm gonna drive up to work. I'm only in Richmond,
And I may be coming to Richmond for business, so if I do, I'll let you know.
right? Yes, please. And then I think that would be fantastic.
All right. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Take care.
Have a good night.
All right. Bye.
Bye.